So something I've said before here on YouTube, which I don't think is said enough, is that YouTubers are really nothing without their audience, right? Like, we can make all of the content that we want, we can make all of the videos that we want, but if no one likes it and no one watches it, then we're really nothing. So I got a comment that this week that really made me kind of like reflect on the kind of content that I'm posting and on my YouTube journey. So in this video, I just want to talk about that today. So let's go. So if you're looking for a video that you can like listen to while you do dishes or clean the house or like do whatever, this is the video for you. I am just gonna kind of talk through this. So the other day I got a comment and it has really made me like kind of reflect for the last couple days on how I have changed and how my life has changed since I started doing YouTube, and kind of how my content has changed as a result of that. I think one of the unique things about YouTube is that depending on the kind of content that you make, sometimes your content is dependent on your life, right? So like if you make your life or your like what you're doing in your life your content, like I do, then your content is going to change over time. And obviously your audience is probably going to change as well. And that's just a natural thing that happens. Like maybe when you start watching someone, they're in the different place, and 5 years later, they're in a totally different place and you don't relate to them anymore. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today in regards to how this comment has made me reflect on that. It is so boring. No need to watch. I miss the old and partially deleted weekend preps. They made you unique, but spending it all, the extreme budget, then splurging again. Nope. Hope you find your own path again. And then someone else said, agree, I miss the videos that drew me to watch years ago, clean with me, weekend prep, etc. So I read this and I thought, yeah, I mean, I get that. Like my content really has changed over time. And so I responded, I said, I just posted a weekend prep video, and talking about like how this person talked about the partially deleted videos. I did go back and delete a lot of videos on my channel. And the reason for that is because like my kids do not want to be on YouTube. Like they do not want their faces on my channel. They do not want to be on my channel, and I respect that, right? That wasn't always the case because when I started doing YouTube, they were much younger. And so I basically went back through all of my videos and tried to see which ones my kids were in. And out of respect for them, I deleted those videos. And so now if you look back on my channel, my oldest video I think was 5 years ago, which is kind of when I switched directions here on YouTube. So if you haven't followed me for a super long time, I actually started out on YouTube in 2013. I think it was 2012 or 2013. So it was like really like 10 years ago at this point. I was super big into the scrapbooking, paper crafting niche online. And that is what my social media presence was all about for years, probably from like 2010 till 2018, really. I worked basically on contract in the scrapbooking kind of universe. I made scrapbooking videos. I have tons of scrapbooks at home from when my kids were younger. And really over time, I just got burnt out on it. But that's really how I started on YouTube. I started making paper crafting videos. I did lots of like scrapbooking process videos. And once my channel kind of morphed into what it is now, I went back and deleted all those videos because, well, number one, I wasn't sure like what was in them. Was I like sharing personal things that I don't really want to share now that I have a bigger audience? And also that's not really what my channel is about anymore. So I went back and deleted all of those videos. But then at that time also, I went back and I thought, my kids are kind of growing into preteens and teens now. They don't want to be on the internet. And so I, went back and deleted all of those videos as well. And so now if you look on my channel, I think my oldest video is like 5 years ago. It's a Costco haul. I actually watched that video a couple days ago as I was kind of thinking about this comment and like how to respond to this in general. And when I first started kind of like switching gears on YouTube, it was early 2018. So Adam and I had just built the new house that, well, new then, the house that we live in now. We had two houses previously that, basically we had purchased, from other people, and we wanted to build our own house. And so we saved a lot of money. We were able to do that. And we did that in 2017, and we moved in. It was right around Thanksgiving in 2017. And so that's kind of when I first started discovering YouTube in like the mom / cooking / cleaning slash whatever productivity capacity that I watched it in. I think actually the first person that I really started watching was, I don't know if you remember Leanne from Grady's mom. She's actually stopped doing YouTube at this point, but I used to watch like her lunch videos. Like she made lunches for her husband, and then she also did grocery hauls, and I was like, you know, I kind of thought about it and I was like, I could do this. And so that's kind of how I started out on YouTube. I have always been a working mom. I've always worked outside the home with my kids, and I've always struggled to find people to connect with. And especially on YouTube, I found that there were a lot of stay-at-home moms on YouTube. And so I would watch those channels, but then I didn't really always connect with those people because they just have a different life than I do. There's nothing wrong or bad or you know, anything about it like that. It's just different. And so I really wanted to find people and watch people that worked outside the home or had full-time jobs or whatever. And so really the two people I found that had bigger channels who were working moms is Brianna from Brianna K, and then Gia from Marriage and Motherhood, which I'm friends with Gia. So hey girl, shout out to you. But I really started watching their channels because they really showed kind of like this working mom life. And even though their kids were like different ages than mine were, I still kind of found it valuable to watch and relate to them. Well, Brianna K for sure, she quit her job outside the home and started doing YouTube full time. And so I kind of stopped watching her because I didn't really relate to that as much anymore because I had, you know, I still had a full-time corporate job. And so I totally get that. Like from a perspective of like people growing and changing, I don't think any of us really expect each other to be the same as we were 5 years ago. Like if you think about your own life and you look back to who you were 5 years ago, I mean, hopefully you're not that same person. Like hopefully you've grown and changed, your life has changed. I mean, maybe not, and that's okay too. It just kind of depends on your situation in life. But I think for sure anyone that has kids, 5 years is a really long time, right? So I feel like personally, since I have started making YouTube videos in this capacity that I am now in 2018 compared to 2023, 5 years later, who I am now, I feel like I've really grown a lot as a person, and hopefully I continue to grow. Hopefully we wish that for you know, for everyone, not just on YouTube but otherwise as well. And one of the things that I have really tried to like reflect on and improve about myself is how I respond and take in you know, more like critical comments. Now, obviously I've gotten lots of comments in my YouTube career. In fact, one of the biggest comments that I always got was, your teeth are crooked, fix your teeth. Your teeth are crooked, fix your teeth. Well, I mean, all that stuff. And because of that, I mean, honestly, I can honestly say, like, if I never would have had a YouTube channel, I probably never would have gotten braces. Now, I'm super thankful that I did that because now I have straight teeth, and I'm like very thankful for that. But I can honestly say that that is one thing that I did be like strictly almost because of YouTube, because people were so critical about my crooked teeth. And so I do think that, like, you know, being online and having a social media presence kind of changes you as a person in a way. But one of the things, kind of circling back because I went off on a tangent, but you know, really I have really tried to be more reflective on how I take feedback, right? And so this is one of the things that I've been in different kind of like creator groups, and I've been like on different panels for YouTube and research panels and different things like that. And one of the things I've told YouTube specifically is like, hey, like when you're early in your YouTube career and you read a comment that may be kind of taken as a negative comment, you're still very sensitive about that, right? Like you maybe have like 1,000, 2,000 subscribers. You're just not the same person as you are when you have over 100,000 subscribers or 500,000 subscribers or whatever. I mean, I think sometimes on social media, we view people through this like parasocial lens that they're going to be the same person over time, like just like a sitcom is, or just like a, you know, a TV show is. But that's really not kind of how it works, especially when we're sharing our real lives. But anyway, I, you know, react to comments a lot differently 5 years ago than I do now. I react to comments even a year ago differently than I do now. You know, and part of that is just like becoming more mature, like growing and changing as a person. And even in my own professional life, I have found that the job that I am in now, like the team that I work with, we have so much like psychological safety. Like we can all just like sit in an after action review and tell each other like, hey, that really wasn't your best presentation today, like you really need to amp it up, or you didn't do so great on this part. Like I feel like I have gotten so much better at like taking feedback as an employee and as a person in general. And I think that's something that evolves over time, right? Like when you're younger and you're less mature, like you may be more defensive about those things. And so that is why I really wanted to talk about this comment, because it really just like, I like at first I read it and I thought, well, yeah, like of course I'm going to change as a person and my content's going to change. But I really wanted to talk about it with my audience, because I know there's a lot of you who have kind of like watched me from the beginning, and I'm curious to hear like your perspective on that as well. I think, you know, we grow, our lives change, like everything changes. And obviously when you are producing content online that is based on your life, that content is going to change as well. And that's okay. Like that's totally okay. Like people are gonna fall off of your audience, new people are gonna join. Like that's just what happens. Like that's the normal churn of like social media. I think one of the other things that this comment kind of alluded to, and which I really appreciate the feedback on, is like, it seems like you don't enjoy YouTube anymore. It seems like you're not yourself. You seem different. And that honestly made me really reflect a lot, because I do think that so there are very few people who actually start a YouTube channel and think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have over 100,000 subscribers, I'm gonna make this into a full-time income. Like there's really not many people that start out like that. Like most of us just start out making videos like, oh, I wanna help people, I wanna show people what I do. Honestly, when I first started YouTube, I thought, hey, if I can make 800 bucks a month and pay for my groceries, that would be awesome. And so I think like as your channel grows and as your audience grows, you find you're more comfortable doing things with an audience size of 100 people viewing your videos versus 100,000 people viewing your videos, if that makes sense. And so I think over time, like, yes, I have not, like if I'm being honest with myself and with you all, like there are things that I have like suppressed about my personality. There are things that I haven't been as like free or as myself about as I was in the beginning, because I think as your channel grows and as you get more views, and obviously you're having brands, you know, view your channel, like you just become more like PC, or you're more censored in general, which that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think like you do have to have a certain amount of personality to make videos, right? And if I'm hiding that personality, like I shouldn't do that. I should just be myself. Like that's kind of the hard thing about social media, right? Is you have to just choose, like, look, I'm gonna be myself. I'm not gonna be like this sanitized, politically correct version of myself just so more people will like me. I have to just be myself, and then the people that will like me for me, and those are my true people. Like those are my true friends, those are my true fans, whatever. So that's kind of another thing that this comment made me think about, which I really appreciate, because it honestly just makes me think like I need to just be myself and rest. Right? So specifically about the weekend prep videos, this is one thing that I really got to thinking about, right? Because what do we have to go off of on YouTube as a creator? The one thing we have to go off of is views, right? So when you're talking about metrics on YouTube, views are like the North Star metric, and this is gonna be like a YouTube lesson for all of you who don't know. Views are the thing that everyone wants. Like you can have comments, you can have likes, you can have dislikes, you can have shares, you can have, you know, you have all these metrics like retention, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, views is what matters. That is how our audience, or those who watch us, communicate to us that they want to see more of something or less of something. And obviously you have to take comments into account as well, but also you have to keep in mind that probably like a very small percentage of the people that actually watch your videos are leaving comments. So I'll show you an example. Okay, so for example, you guys know I love data. I've worked in healthcare data analytics for a long time. I'm a big data fan. I'm a big data fan. So for example, a video that I posted earlier this month, it was an extreme budget challenge, feed your family on less than $100 a week. So that was one of the more, I would say, probably highly viewed videos that I've posted recently. So that video has 31,000 views and has 149 comments. So that means only 0.5%. So less than a full percent of people who are actually watching the video then comment on the video, right? So while you have to take comments into account, because those are obviously the most like vocal portion of your audience, you're also looking at views. And so all that to say, let's go back to when I first started YouTube in 2018. So when I first started YouTube in 2018, obviously this isn't when I first started, this is when I kind of changed my niche. I changed my, I changed my niche. So back then I was doing scrapbooking videos. I had around 2,000 subscribers. I decided that, hey, I want to do like working mom content. I love cooking. I love meal planning. I love groceries. Like, I will share this with everyone. And I was super lucky in that I was able to build, you know, my channel pretty quickly in, I would say, relatively to some other people that I've seen try to build YouTube channels. And so when I started YouTube, you know, I was working outside of my house. I was actually working at a hospital that I commuted to that was an hour away from my house. So on a good day, it was probably 45 minutes, bad day, an hour. So you're talking, you know, leaving home at 5:30 in the morning, not getting home until, you know, 5 p.m. or later at night. And so that was part of my lifestyle, right? Like, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Like, I worked outside the home, I commuted, I had little kids. My kids were younger at that time. So Connor was like 6 years old, Kira was like 8 or 9 years old. And so that's another big thing that I kind of started when I started my channel, was doing school lunch videos. And I love to do like the themed, you know, like Halloween lunches, Hello Kitty lunches, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, fun fact, when I first started watching YouTube, I also started watching Jennifer from the Family Fudge, which her channel is like super big now. And she actually reached out to me like not long after I started my channel to like collab with me, and then she ghosted me, so that never happened. But she's someone that was kind of like an inspiration for some of the videos that I was posting. The other thing about when you have younger kids like that is that they're not really into activities, or like the activities that they are in don't take up that much time. And so when I started on YouTube, you know, I had my weekends free, right? And so my goal on the weekends was to get as much done at home so I could kind of prepare for my upcoming work week, and I was working outside of the house. And so back then, you know, Connor, he was in soccer, but he was in like Y soccer. So it was like, you know, one game on a Tuesday night, or, you know, something like that. Whereas now, you know, we're talking about like tournaments, and we're like traveling to games. My kids were also not super big into swim at that point, and over the years they got really into swim. And so you guys know that have watched me for a while, like they're done with swim now, but Kira did swim for a good like 7 years. You know, Connor did it as well. Like, that was a big part of our weekends. We always had swim meets. I worked as an official. And so over time, you know, these videos that really kind of helped to build my channel, these weekend prep videos, which ended up being super popular. I probably did weekend prep videos from, I don't know, probably 2019 through like 2022. So that's like a good 3 years, 2 to 3 years where I was really putting them out consistently. So like every weekend I would film them. And if I'm being honest, like, I did get burnout on those a little bit, right? Like, if you haven't filmed videos before, you're not quite sure how that impacts you. But imagine you going about your weekend and you're carrying a camera around with you, and you're literally like filming and narrating every aspect of your weekend. Like, it was fun. It was fun for me. Like, I loved giving people inspiration. Like, people would always comment like, oh, I love these videos, they give me so much inspiration, blah, blah, blah. Well, as time went on, you know, and we started having more kids activities on the weekend, and then I accepted a new position. So when I, let's see, this was probably in like late 2020, early 2021, the hospital that I had worked at for 14 years, COVID really kind of like threw me for a loop, and I was not interested in staying working there. And so I was searching for different jobs, right? And what I really wanted was a consultant job that I could basically work from home and travel, which is exactly what I ended up getting. And I think too, like, I have worked, I mean, one of the things is like, I've worked really hard to have this job, right? Like, I've been a nurse for a long time. You know, I've been a nurse since what, 2005. So it's almost what, 18 years at this point. I have a lot of experience. I have my education. I have a master's in nursing. I have a couple certifications. And so this is something that I've worked really hard for a long time to do. And I'm super proud of it. And I love my job. Like, I would not trade my job for anything. I have been very vocal about the fact that even though I've had success here on YouTube, I am never going to quit my job because I love it. I find fulfillment from it. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. But this job has also changed my life in ways that I don't think I've ever really talked about here on my channel. So I would say that if you've ever worked outside the home in an office and you transition to working at home, it is legitimately life-changing. Like, to not have a commute every day is like the amount of time that takes off your plate. And I always think about like, oh my gosh, what if I could have worked from home when my kids were like toddlers? Like, how much would that have improved my quality of life? Like, it would have improved my quality of life greatly, like super greatly. So that's one thing that is really better about my life now, right? Now, yes, I do have to travel for work. I work, if you're not familiar, I work as a healthcare consultant. So, you know, we're constantly going to different hospitals and clinics and doing consulting work, teaching, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And so that does take up a significant portion of my time. And I would say I probably travel like 50%. So like at least 2 weeks out of the month. Usually it's 2 weeks out of the month. I try to keep it to that. It's normally not like Monday through Friday. Sometimes it's like Tuesday through Thursday, you know, Monday through Thursday, Monday through Wednesday. It varies each time. But that's something that's different as well, is that I work from home and I travel. And so I can totally understand that those people that watched me kind of relating to that, like going to the office type of life, going to the office, having young kids, my life has totally changed from that. And so I can understand, like, if you started watching my videos just for that purpose and now my life is different, like, that's totally understandable, right? But the reality is that I still really want to make content that's valuable for people, that's valuable for my audience, that's valuable for viewers. And if you noticed, probably you've noticed, if you like my weekend prep videos, that I don't post those very much anymore. And the reason for that is that if I'm traveling all week, like let's say I get back at Friday night, you know, like last week, I got back from a trip on Friday night at 9 p.m. Like, the last thing that I want to do really is get up on a Saturday morning and get my camera out and be like, hey, we're gonna be productive this weekend. Like, more than likely, I wanna sleep until 10. I wanna lay on the couch and watch Netflix, maybe edit a couple of videos. And so really, I mean, my life is a little bit different now than when I first started filming those. You know, I've still tried to film like at least one per month, and you can obviously still find some on my channel. So that's something I really have to think about, is like, if that's something my audience wants to see, then do I go ahead and do that, even though it's not like the first thing that I want to do? I will say that, like, when I do film those videos, it does help me be a lot more productive, which is helpful both for me and you. It's just that I don't always have the motivation to do that. So it's definitely something to think about. The other thing I thought about is, like, maybe I'm not doing all of my like productive things like in a weekend prep video, but maybe I just film myself throughout the week in little pockets of time as I'm like getting things done, because that's kind of more how my life is now. I do try to film the working mom travel vlogs. I don't do those as much because they aren't as popular on my channel. And that's fine, right? Like, every video you publish doesn't have to have a ton of views. It doesn't have to be the most popular. Like, there are people in your, you know, if you're a YouTuber, there are people in your audience who are gonna watch your videos no matter what. You know, no matter what you post, they will watch it. Those people are probably in the minority, right? So you're kind of like diehard fans. I would say, like, personally, there are I could probably count them on two hands, you know, channels that I diehard watch. Now, in terms of like different verticals, right? So I'll explain another thing about YouTube, is that you really kind of learn what content performs well in terms of views. So for me, I have several different like they call them like buckets of content, or like verticals or whatever. So like I have grocery hauls, right? Like those perform pretty well on my channel. I have working mom travel vlogs. Those don't perform as well on my channel. They're still fun to film and I still make them because a lot of people watch and enjoy them. Meal prep videos, that's something that I also haven't been super awesome at lately. That was actually something that helped my channel grow. Way back in the days, I started doing keto meal preps, and I had one viral video, and then my channel kind of like blew up from there. That's something that I still try to do, but I don't do as much, but that I should probably do more of. Then I do weekend prep videos. Those get good views. Then I do like what I eat in a week, like weight loss content. So that's kind of how, at least myself as a YouTuber, how I think about it. And I know that some of the videos I do are not going to get as many views, and that's totally fine. The thing is like, if you find something that's going to get you more views and that's more popular and more people like and more people watch, you're going to do more of that. And so this kind of goes back to the part of the comment that's like spending all your money, extreme budget, splurging, Temu. Like I can totally understand, like if you're watching all my videos, that probably seems very very confusing, right? The reason why I personally like to do the extreme budget videos, personally, I'm at a point in my life where I don't need to have like an extreme grocery budget. Like I'm at a point in my life where, you know, I basically have two jobs. I have YouTube, and then I have a regular job. My husband has a job. So we're not at a point where we need to do extreme budget videos. Is it helpful for me to, you know, kind of practice that once in a while so I can cut down on my grocery bill? Of course. But the reason I do those videos is not for myself. It's really to help other people. And one of the things that I've found in doing those extreme budget videos is that people are wanting more convenience-based extreme budget videos, right? So like not extreme budget videos where you're cooking rice and, you know, dried beans and making bread from scratch, but like what are the things that we can buy at a low cost from the grocery store? We're all working, we're taking care of kids, like what are the convenience items we can buy? And so that's kind of the angle that I've tried to take more and more often, and I'll be publishing more videos on that. But I can understand like how as a viewer it might be a little bit confusing, you know, because one day I'm like, oh, I spent $900 at Costco, and then the next day I'm like, I spent $5 on dinner. You know, so I do understand that, and I understand how that can be confusing. But if you look at some of my extreme budget videos, those have a lot of views. And so obviously the more views I get on a particular video, I'm going to publish more and more content like that. In terms of like, I hope you find your own path again. I think that, you know, that kind of gets to the point where it's like, we can't really expect that people are the same, right? Like the path that I was on 5 years ago is a lot different than the path that I am on now. I feel very good about my path. I feel like I've found my own path. And so I would be interested to know from you all, you know, like now that I've kind of explained how my life is and sort of the chaos that it is, what kind of videos do you want to see from me? Like maybe you want to see planning videos, maybe you want to see more like not weekend prep, but like how I get things done in pockets of time. Like I definitely want all of that feedback, like good or bad. I'm definitely open to that. You know, another thing I often get criticized about here on YouTube is doing sponsored videos. And I think that, you know, in terms of making money online, I think that anyone who puts as much time into something like I do on YouTube is entitled to compensation. And I can tell you that if I didn't do sponsored videos and I just took the money that I made from YouTube AdSense and the amount of time that I spend planning, filming, editing, whatever videos, I would make less than minimum wage. And personally, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with myself making less than minimum wage for this. I'm not okay with anyone. I'm not even okay with minimum wage. Like minimum wage is dumb. It should be much higher than that. Like, like I'm not okay with anyone making less than minimum wage, right? And so one of the reasons why YouTubers take sponsored videos and sponsorships is to subsidize that time that we spend on YouTube. You know, I can make as little as, you know, $200, $500 on a sponsored video. I can make as much as $4,000 on a sponsored video. So I mean, that's rare, but you know, it's a huge financial opportunity, and I feel really proud that I've been able to grow my channel and work with the brands that I have. It's a business. It's a legitimate business, right? And it's taught me a lot about finances and taxes and actually making business decisions. Like, I've always been kind of like a W-2 earner, and so I haven't really had to think about those things. But also, like, the financial opportunity that it has provided for my family is insane. Like, I am able to like fully fund my kids' college. Like, Kira just told me a couple weeks ago that she wants to go to pharmacy school. I can put money into her college account. I can, you know, Connor, I don't know what he wants to do yet. He's still very young. I can fully fund my kids' college without even thinking about it. And that's the reason why I do what I do, right? That's the reason why I work so hard, is not necessarily for me, but for my kids, because I feel so strongly about education and where it can take you in life. My parents did not help me out at all with college. I had to get student loans. I barely even got Pell Grants because they didn't even want to give me their income information. Like, it was a whole big mess. But my kids know, like, that's the reason why I work so hard, is because I want to provide that to them. You know, also retirement, like with the salary I make, I, you know, probably wouldn't be able to contribute the amount that I do to my 401k. So it helps subsidize that as well. So, I mean, the financial opportunities really on YouTube are endless. And, you know, obviously it goes back to our audience. We want people to watch our videos. I'm always thinking about, like, what is the best content that I can produce? You know, what are people going to watch? What do people want to watch? And, you know, you have to weigh the feedback you get with the business side of it. Like, you can't just say, like, well, I got a negative comment, so I'm not going to do this anymore. It is a business. And I think a lot of people that watch YouTube, don't really think about it like that. But anyone who has like a semi-large channel, you know, probably 30, 50,000 subscribers or more, it is a business. It's legitimately a business. It's legitimately a business, right? So you kind of have to think about it in that way. But obviously, I am so appreciative for each and every one of you. You know, I work really hard to work with companies that sponsor me, that I either, so there's like some criteria that I think of. Like, I either, one, believe in the company and the mission and what it's providing. Two, I've tried it and I liked it. Or three, I think it could benefit my audience. So if it's something that I haven't necessarily tried myself, it's something that I feel could benefit my audience in some way, shape, or form. And so that's kind of how I think about it. When you talk about sponsors that I've turned down, it is a huge amount, a huge amount. I can't tell you how many times people have come to me with like weight loss pills, weight loss shakes, waist slimmers, you know, just like, and other things too, you know. So I think that definitely, you know, we turn down a lot more things than we accept. And I do think that it's very variable. Like, there are some months when I might have only like 3 or 4 sponsored videos. There are some months where every video might be sponsored. It just kind of depends. So if you guys have any questions about sponsorships, let me know down below. I really want to try to be like as transparent as I can be, you know, obviously without giving up all of my business. But you know, that's something that I've tried to be really transparent about over the years, is like, obviously this is a huge financial opportunity for me. And I want to work really hard, and I want to kind of take full advantage of that while I can, which anyone would be silly not to do that. Like, anyone in this position would be silly not to do that, right? You know, and I don't live an extravagant lifestyle. You know, I'm not like off, you know, jet setting to Bora Bora. Like, I'm really just putting all this money away for my kids, which is something that's super important to me for their education. So ultimately, I had actually a really good conversation in the comments with this particular viewer, and she did mention that English is her like second or third language. And so I know that sometimes there are language barriers that, you know, obviously if someone speaks English and only English like me, like, we're probably gonna take, you know, we're gonna perceive things differently as someone with English as their second or third language. But overall, I just want to say thank you to this person that left this comment, because honestly, it made me reflect a lot about my channel, the kind of content I produce, and like what I'll continue to do in the future. And if I'm being honest with you guys, you know, it has been tough for me. Like, ever since I've taken this new job, you know, the shift in my life, my family life, you know, the type of content that I film is totally different than what it used to be. And so if you're still here watching, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you. And I guess I just have to kind of ride this wave. And if this is going to be my life from now on, I have to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with that, right? What kind of content do people want to see? What kind of content do I want to make, you know, and then kind of balancing those two things. I know for sure I want to try to still do the budget videos. I think that those are something that I personally really enjoy doing. The content is very laborious. I would say, like, you know, anyone that you guys watch, I know a lot of you watch similar channels to mine, like Frugal Fit Mom, See Mini Mom, you know, those types of channels. Anyone that does an extreme budget video, the amount of planning and cooking and filming and editing that goes into that it's hard to kind of understand unless you've done it yourself. But those are the videos I really like because I think they're a challenge. Like, I love cooking. I love kind of like having a shoestring budget and kind of trying to fit around that. Like, a lot of you might not know this about me, but I grew up pretty poor for most of my childhood. We lived well under the poverty line. We didn't have a lot growing up. Even in college, I can remember, you know, trying to get food assistance and being denied for it. I worked as a CNA during college. I was trying to pay for school, pay for my rent. Like, I didn't have much money. I didn't have much money for a long period of my life. And so there are times in my life where I've had to be very, you know, resourceful and kind of use my budget super wisely. And so I always draw on that experience and obviously my love of cooking, even though it's not something I quote like need to do now. I think it's always a good exercise for us to kind of use what we have, you know, do a budget challenge. So I would love to know in the comments down below. Let me know. Well, let's have a couple of things here. So, how long have you been watching my channel and how did you find my channel? I would be super interested in that. I know a lot of people have been watching me for a long time. I recognize your names. I've even made so many friends from, you know, my channel, friends that I actually have seen and met and text and talk with. And also, what kind of videos do you want to see from me, right? Like, what do you like to watch? I will say that, like, in terms of the cleaning videos, you know, I am very transparent about the fact that now that I have kind of these two full-ish time jobs, I would say I have a full-time job and then YouTube, which is almost a full-time job, I don't have time to clean my house anymore. And especially on the weekends, that's when I used to do most of my cleaning. And now that we're out of town and going to soccer meets and everything like that, it's not always possible. And now that we basically have 3 incomes, you know, with my husband, my income and my YouTube income, I do have a house cleaner that comes 5 hours a week. And it's something that I know I am super privileged to have. It's something that I have not always had. In fact, I haven't had it. I probably have only had it for the last couple years, you know, 2 to 3 years at most. And so I don't really film a whole lot of cleaning content anymore because that's just something I shouldn't say I don't clean on a regular basis, because obviously I do. And any of you that have a house cleaner know that you still have to clean. You still have to clean, but it's just not the same kind of like deep cleaning as you've always done. So yeah, I would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to me ramble on, and thanks to the commenter who made me think very deeply and probably too much about this, but I appreciate you all. I love you all. Thank you for being here and watching my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.